Ever needed to show a lot of data in Canvas apps just to manually have to create a search and sort mechanisms all by yourself? Hi, I'm Bruno and welcome to the Power Minutes. Today we are checking out the new data grid modern control. Control built to display records in a clean, scrollable, sortable, and searchable grid. Now, if you've been around Canvas apps for a while, you'll know that you already have several ways to show tabular data. We're talking about the galleries, the classic data table, and more recently, even the table control. So why another one? Well, let's say that data grid is now the recommended control for tabular data. And once you see what it does, you'll understand why. So first of all, it's built under the Fluent UI, and the biggest trick here is row virtualization. In plain terms, it means that it can smoothly scroll through a very large data set. We're talking about over 2,000 records, for example, without bogging down your app. So let's get our hands in it. And before we get to today's example, let's actually break down the new control. You can insert it like any other control. And when you go over here, it already asks you for a data source. So let's already use the theme of today. We're going to be talking about cars. And as you can see, it already displays your data, and by default, it's multi-select. There is a little bit to know about this, not too much, but one of the things you should realize very early on is that lookups by default will bring out the GUID. It's not a big issue. Of course, it's not useful. So what I recommend is that you select the column like we did over here and change it to any of the other fields it may have. So let's keep it name, and there you have it. By default, it comes with all of these enabled. You can make it sortable and not sortable, and by clicking on the column, it will sort alphabetically or by ascending and descending order. And there's all there is to it. Of course, enabling search will make it so you can search these values. So if I search for 208, I should have a Peugeot. And of course, if I search BMW, I get all the BMWs from one single place. All of this in under a few minutes. So let's actually jump into our example. And for today's example, we did a simple car inventory app. The idea is simple. We have two grids here to filter out our cars, first by brand and then by model. On the car brand data grid, it's pretty straightforward. There is a multi-select, so we can have more flexibility and we can select multiple brands all at once. And of course, the only thing we did here was to do the sort columns to start alphabetically. So we have Audi first, then BMW, and so on. Even though the control supports sorting, by default, it wasn't showing the first record alphabetically. It was showing the first record that was created. So we just made that little fix, nothing major. And of course, over here, we just have some quality of life changes. We made a scenario when we don't have anything selected. On the brand side, we show all the vehicles, else we have a grouping, and this is only so we get no issues with delegation. We tried with the in operator and it was throwing delegation errors, so we went a bit over and corrected it. So for example, if we put a few brands, you'll see that we have both Ford and BMW over here. If you add more or if you remove them, all good. And for example, even if you add or select here and remove BMW and add BMW, it clears it out. So that really sorts out most of the scenarios. We also add a quick reserve. So if someone is looking out for a car and hold it for the end of the day before I make a decision, we can make it so. All this to say that using the data grid is very easy. And the only remark I have to bring are the following. Well, I have a couple of remarks, so let's be fair. There's a few small limitations right now that you should be aware. For example, attachment controls are not supported. You can't style your column, so you won't have a custom font size or color in a single column. There's no alternating row colors and there's no variable row height. So what you see is what you get for the most part. Yes, you can change the colors and the font and the size, but that's for the whole table. So if you go over here and you change it in terms of size, it's for the whole table. If you change the color here, it's for the whole table. So if you want to say, oh, I want it, if there's an amount available under 5 cars, I want it to show in red. I'm afraid that is not possible with data grids. The search hint text is currently not changeable. And of course, certain queries might up being non-delegable. So please test it out before releasing it, before we have issues in production. And of course, I don't see many of these issues as being, a deal breaker. We have plenty of alternatives. The reality is also, if you want that extra bit of flexibility, or you already have the answers for it. You can still create your Dataverse table and make all of the little changes that you want in there. But if you want something standard, something quick, and with those filters and sorts all out of the box, Data Grid is your answer. So next time you want to show a lot of data or build a filtered-like experience for your inventory app, well, Data Grid is the way to go. See you next time.